minute of meditation to help us be fully present for our time together today. So please be sure you're in a comfortable posture and start by either closing your eyes or softening your gaze, in which you're not focusing really on anything in particular. And make sure the posture is one that allows you to be fully present and at the same time comfortable. And now take 3 deep breaths. And with each exhale, let go of anything you've brought into this space with you or any tension that you find in your body. And now allow your breath to return to its own natural rhythm. And you can keep focusing on your breath. Focusing on the body. Simply resting the mind for about 30 more seconds. So again, welcome. And we'll begin, as always, by lighting a candle. And I light this candle to represent the wisdom in each of us and the wisdom in all of us. And just a few reminders as we start. Again, if you have a question or comment, please raise your digital hand. There are more of us than can fit on one screen. And so if you raise your hand like this, the chances are I may not see you. Please be sure that you're always muted in here in our main Zoom room, unless you're speaking, to avoid distracting noise. It's great if you can keep your camera on as much as possible so that we can all see each other. If your name on Zoom is anything other than your actual name, we ask that you change it to your name now. This will help, especially if you're having challenges getting into your breakout room. It'll help Georgiana and Diane know who you are so that they can move you easily into your breakout room. And finally, if you contact our incredibly great Zoom tech team, Georgiana and Diane, by sending them a chat, if you're having Zoom problems, please keep in mind that it may be a device issue and they may not be able to help, but whatever they can do, they will. Okay. And again, as always, I start with either a poem and a reading. And here's today's poem to start off. The title is Days, and it's by one of my favorite poets, Billy Collins. Each one is a gift, no doubt, mysteriously placed in your waking hand or set upon your forehead, moments before you open your eyes. Today begins cold and bright, the ground heavy with snow and the thick masonry of ice, the sun glinting off the turrets of clouds. Through the calm eye of the window, everything is in its place, but so precariously, this day might be resting somehow on the one before it. All the days of the past, stacked high, like the impossible tower of dishes entertainers used to build on stage. No wonder you find yourself perched on the top of a tall ladder, hoping to add one more. Just another Wednesday, you whisper, then holding your breath, place this cup on yesterday's saucer without the slightest clink. And again, as always, we'll be sending that poem out to you with the recording. And again, as always, we begin our work today with a check-in with your breakout group. And again, although we will be putting up suggestions for topics for discussion, please always feel free to share in your breakout room as you feel moved. This is your time to share whatever will serve you best in your year to live practice. So again, this slide provides suggestions of topics for your breakout room. So first, how did this year to live practice go for the past month? Anything from the monthly practice resonate with or strike you? Anything from the reading resonate with or strike you? And you're actually, of course, not limited to solely to the past month, too. You can talk about, we're a third of the way through almost. So you can talk about how all of it's been going for you as well. Karen, you're muted.
Can you say which chapters and which monthly practice we're on?
I can. The monthly practice is the 4th month. And the chapters were 10, 11, and 12.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And here's a reminder of this month's monthly practice. Practice the dying meditation. And I noted that he has kind of 2 of them, and it was okay to practice either one, either the one in chapter 13 or the one in chapter 14. And I noted that we will have a guided death meditation at our very last meeting in December. And I was reminded that not everyone is using a paper copy of the book. So for those who are using electronic versions from now on, I will mention the chapter as well as any pages in my references to the book. So I always appreciate reminders like that. The second part of the monthly practice was watch the fear of pain, the fear of non-being, the fear of Judgment Day. Deepen the discussion about dying, death, and what might come afterward. See how the process is going And finally, and this should be hopefully a practice for the entire year, wake each morning as if it were your last day on earth. Okay, and Georgiana has put the suggestions in the chat. Any questions about the check-in? Okay, and just a reminder, it's always best to bring the alphabetical list we sent you with your name and breakout room number in case you forget. And again, the first time in any session that Diane opens the breakout rooms, you'll see a list of rooms by number, and Diane's going to do that very soon. You'll see a list of rooms by number, and you'll go into your group's breakout room by clicking on the breakout room number that corresponds to the number of your breakout group, which is the number on the list. And so you are putting yourselves into your breakout rooms. And again, Diane and Georgiana have the list. So if you don't have your list with you, they may be able to help. And they are here to help should there be any problems or glitches. So please remember to click on the blue button with the number of your breakout group. And remember that Diane and Georgiana can see the names of the members of each breakout room and the number of people in that room. If they see that you're not in the right room, they'll move you into the correct room. Also, we may have a couple of groups that are very small today, so we may be asking if you would like to combine for today's meeting, just to have more people in the room. And finally, Zoom probably looks different on different devices and with different Zoom settings. So if the box doesn't pop up for you to choose a room, look for and click on the three dots above More on the extreme right of your Zoom toolbar, and then on Breakout Rooms, and you should be able to see your blue number. Any questions?
How long will we be in the breakout room?
You'll be in the breakout room for 20 minutes, and you'll have another minute that will come in a pop up at the end of the 20. And there'll be an announcement at 10 minutes that we're halfway through. Okay, Diane, could you please open the breakout rooms? Here we go. Okay, well, it looks like everyone is back. And I'm wondering if anything particularly noteworthy came up in any of your check-ins, something you'd like to share with the bigger group. We have a few minutes. And please remember to raise your digital hand so I can see you. Let's see. Tom.
I think the only thing I wanted to share is that we had challenges in our group with the dying meditation and watching the fear of non-being. I mean, those are the things that we didn't do, if you will. So I don't know if that was common with others or not. I thought I would share that quickly.
And could you just say a few quick words about what the problem with the dying meditation was? Was it just not doing it? Some people find that trying to read it and meditate at the same time is challenging. So I'm just wondering what the challenge was.
Personally, I have an audio book, so I don't have those challenges. But I just don't think people wanted to do it. They just didn't do it. And just this fear of non-being just kind of didn't seem to resonate with anybody. I don't think I have any reasons why.
Okay. Thank you. That helped. Jacqueline.
Greetings. I pretty much dominated the conversation for a good 10 minutes because I'm going to be leaving here, leaving this session shortly. But what I found for me was how much the last chapter, the last 3 chapters resonated with so many other things happening that I'm participating in. I'm participating with the retired ministers group, and we're talking about emergent elderhood and dying. And some of us are so very old. And then also, there's so much going on in the world. What we want to do about the big question for me related to dying and the exercises, the meditation was, what if somebody wanted to kill you because you don't agree with their politics or their candidate didn't win? Or the other scenario is that given the indicators of what's happening around the world, from climate change to authoritarianism to droughts and food shortages, if somebody wanted to kill you or take your life for that, how would you handle that? Are you ready to die? So it's all coming together for me, and that, and forgive me if I, in my theology is you don't have to think alike to love alike. You can have differences of opinion, so please know that. So that was pretty much on my mind, and I won't speak for the rest of the group except for, I'll let that go. Thank you. I won't see anybody until next time around. Bye all, I have to leave. Be well.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Ronnie.
Yeah, hi. So 2 things. One is I had a problem with what you said with the dying meditation, reading it and meditating at the same time. That didn't work for me. As opposed to the soft belly meditation I took off of YouTube, and I've been doing that every day, and that's easy to do. So that's maybe a technical point. But also in our group, we had a little bit of discussion about letting go of things. One member of our group talked about moving, and that she got rid of the last piece of clothing that she was holding on to for a very long time from her mother. And I kind of pushed back and saying, well, why is it important to get rid of things that are meaningful to us? If you had 1,000 pieces of something, I can understand. But if you have one piece, I mean, I think I'd want to hold on to it till I'm no longer gone, and then my kids can get rid of it. Maybe it'll be meaningful to them. So this idea of what to hold on to and how much to hold on and what not, from a physical point of view, that's a question in my mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ronnie, because that's actually what we're going to be focusing on today. So we'll have plenty of opportunity to think about that and even have differences of opinion about it. So yeah, thank you. Bridget.
Hi, on the question of, how you do a written meditation, what I did both with the death meditation, the long one, and then the soft belly from an earlier month, is I recorded it. I did a voice memo and used it that way. And initially it bothered me that I was listening to myself, but then I thought, well, what's going on here anyway? I mean, it's just me and me. Anyway, so it actually sort of reinforced the whole process for me. And that worked well. We discussed in my group how I was able to work the meditation that way and did it pretty much every day, except recently. It started to really grate on my nerves a bit because it's so specific about exactly what will happen. And I guess my personal philosophy, and to echo what Jacqueline said, everybody has their own. But for me personally, it was too specific. It was too certain about certain things. I don't know what's going to happen. But then I got around to a place where I was able to believe that, well, if most people have these kinds of experiences for whatever reasons, it may be because that's how our brain, once it has no oxygen after our heart stop, acts, what's the difference? I'll be ready for it this way. And even if there isn't, the joining of my heart with the great heart, something else happens altogether. I feel I'll be ready for the likely experiences that I will have in a dying body.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And two thoughts. One is you can always have someone else record the meditation for you so you're not listening to your own voice, because many of us have a reaction when we hear our own voices. But yeah, that's one of the ways to handle it, is to have it recorded somehow. So all you have to do is listen, which is what we normally do with guided meditations. Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't know, I think I mentioned this, that there have been times I've wanted to throw the book against a wall. And this was one of them, was exactly what you talked about, was the specificity about what happens.
I was
Uh,
very happy that you said that, Ruby, up front, because it kind of prepped me for when it happened and continues to happen.
Good. And I love this book. And I love that it's the foundation for a year of work we can do together. So thank you. June.
I had the same question about how to manage a written meditation and meditate. So listening to you guys is really answering it. And I never found the dying meditation on my Kindle.
Oh,
So maybe you could
okay.
note the chapter and all that a little better. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
will.
I'm not the best Kindle user either. So, finding the pages very specifically and all that. And
Yeah.
maybe I was looking at it and I didn't realize it. But so recording it is the way. I did, like somebody else did, the YouTube about the soft belly meditation.
Yeah.
But hadn't found anything like for this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear you, and I will. I'll talk about the chapter. And actually, I think in this month's reading, or for next month, you should encounter both of those. One was chapter 13, one was chapter 14. Yeah.
Ruby,
So,
would it infringe on copyrights to like put it in an email and send it to us? I got the audio version and it's not there either. That might be nice for those of us that don't have easy access to it.
yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, thank you. So if this comes up again, if there are specific meditations from the book, they'll go out to you in an email. Thank you. That's a great suggestion. Steve, and then we'll move on.
Sure. I just want to mention quickly the preparation to die or meditation. That's what it's titled. And the Kindle version, it starts on page 69. So I had to search around a little bit, but yeah, if you're looking for it, page 69 through page 71.
Okay. And actually, I have the book both in paper and Kindle. So I will pull it up on my Kindle and send out the Kindle pages as well as the paper pages.
That depends on what size font you're using as to what page you're on. But if you do the LOC page, the LOC at the bottom, that might be something different.
Okay, I will use the LOC instead of page. Thank you. Because the LOC should be, that should be the same no matter what size font. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you all. Okay, so today we're going to talk about leaving a legacy.
Dorothy has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Dorothy, yes.
This is just a quick technical question. Is my video on? Because people couldn't see me in my group and I don't know why.
Yes, your video is on. I can see you.
Okay, I'll see what happens next time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so leaving a legacy. Whether we want or intend to or not, we leave a legacy when we die. Dorothy did, okay, thank you. So what does that mean? I think it means that something of us remains in a variety of ways, even after we're gone. People remember us, our belongings remain, and I think there are a multitude of ways in which we actually leave a legacy. Again, whether we want to or not. So part of intentionally preparing for death, it involves understanding the legacy we're leaving so that we can decide if that is what we want to leave behind after we die, or if we want to make it different in the time we have left to us. So in trying to figure out exactly what a legacy is, I ran across this definition by Meg Newhouse, and I really like it. She tells us that a legacy is anything, tangible or intangible of any size, that we intentionally or unintentionally give, bequeath, or leave behind during our life or at our death that lasts at least through one generation. The imprint of our lives that endures in some form, the imprint of our essence and our action, our being and doing. It lives on in the memories of those we have touched and in their own essences and actions, and intangible records of all kinds that signify the intangible qualities. So, what do you think of that definition? Is it how, or even close to how, you would define legacy? And we do have a few minutes for this. Rob, you're muted.
Interestingly enough, my lawyer that's done my wills and all my other transactions over the years recently got bought out, and his paralegal is the one that I've always dealt with, and she is absolutely brilliant. And she went to another firm. So I said to my wife, we need to go down there and actually see the location where she is, because she's got all our documents. And we did that, and we just had a cup of coffee. But I also had a list of, I'm a bit of a car nut, and I've got 2 race cars and a vintage car, and then you've got your normal driving cars. So I decided to split those up between the kids and nieces. So she said, well, you got that written out, you just have to sign it and date it, and I'll have a copy, and then you keep a copy, and that's, just fine, tickety boo. So it was part of getting that legacy or stuff that you have out there whilst I was still compos mentis, I hope.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Ronnie.
Yeah, so it just so happens yesterday I gave a workshop last week about legacy in Israel. And I used a quotation from Meg Newhouse's book. But what I found very interestingly is that it's a whole new revolution of how you see legacy, because you can see legacy as what you can do now to change your legacy intentionally. And we usually see legacy as something you do in retrospect, or you have done without having done anything about it. It's your legacy. So it took some time for people to understand.
Yes.
It was a bit of a pushback as usual, because it's a new concept. I think it's a brilliant concept. And I'm really glad you brought it up, because I think it's very, very important. It's very much part of saging. So thank you for that, Ruby.
You're welcome. Yeah, I found it interesting too, and I really appreciated it because it opened up this whole idea. Yeah. And this idea of intentional or not, that we leave a legacy. So it's up to us to make the choices about what it is. And it's true no matter if it's material goods, the values we transmit, however it is, that whatever it is of us is going to remain behind.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, sorry, Ruby,
Sure.
is that most of our legacy we've already left. Okay, we're not
Yes.
here. We're not 21 years old here. Okay, most of it has already been done. It's in people, but we still have time to do more or to change something, and that still having time empowers you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Ronnie. Echo. In order to unmute, you
I
need
got
to,
it.
there
Now
you
you can
go.
hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, the last speaker said something that I was saying that, yeah, that we've really created our legacy our whole lives, and one thing that I've really thought about is that legacy is in the people.
Yes.
Like I'm the legacy of my friend who died.
Yes.
In terms of how he affected me, and his my memory of him. And that's fine. That's fine. That's good.
Yeah, thank you. And Meg Newhouse includes that very last sentence. It lives on in the memories of those we have touched.
Right, and in their character.
Yes, yes, yeah. So thank you,
Mhm.
Cindy.
I think, yes, that for me, the legacy is how we live, either, currently or in the past or in the future. Like my parents' legacies is living, passing on to me by their living, not by the things they leave for me. The things they left for me is for me to remember them, but it's really true legacy. And I also want to point out is the legacy have positive and a negative legacy. My mother's legacy to me is some part is I don't want to be like that.
Yes.
And so that's part of legacy. And I really appreciate that she left for me, because I have seen that how her living affect and decision affect her life. And then through her legacy, that negative legacy, I'm making a decision that I'm gonna I will not live that way. That in turn, that give me the legacy, the negative, her negative legacy transpired to me my positive legacy that would turn into my next generation another positive legacy. And I've spoken.
Thank you. And we have heard. Yes. And I think that's a really great point, Cindy. This is, I think, one of those ways in which an unintentional legacy was left. That you, Cindy, were able to take and intentionally fashion your own legacy, given what you had been left. Gretchen.
I just wanted to echo what Echo said, in that I have a altar that I keep up all year, and it has everyone's pictures. And very, very regularly, I will thank each of them for something that they gave to me personally. And I think sometimes when we think of legacy, it has to be this big, grandiose thing. And everybody is special and has something they've left you that's precious. And that's all. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tom, and you'll be our last one, and we'll move on.
I was just going to mention that here in Mexico, they have Day of the Dead every year, and they go to sort of the family plot, and whoever's died last is in there. They clean the grave. They have mariachi bands around. Everybody brings flowers, and it's a very joyous, but it's kind of like a family reunion too. And they put the guy's favorite meal there. He put his favorite tequila, his favorite cigarettes, and everybody tells stories about it. Really tells the legacy of that the family shares, and that, I mean, they really embrace death here as a part of life, and there's kind of no negative things around it like it is in the United States and Canada. But anyway, I just wanted to say that, if you can ever get to Mexico for November 1st and 2nd, it'll be a very rich time for you in a traditional city.
Yeah. Or even if you can go to a Latinx neighborhood where you live, because there are Day of the Dead celebrations in the United States as well. So thank you. Yeah. And I want to point out again, and I think this is kind of echoing what Cindy said, that although ideally we're intentional about the legacy we leave, despite our best intentions, what others think or believe about who we were or how we lived our lives, or even what they think about how we died or how we decided to handle our legacy, is not up to us. We can't control that. We can only use the best parts of ourselves to make these decisions, and the rest is up to them. So, how do we create and leave our legacies? What are the ways, practical or otherwise, available to pass on what we want to the generations that follow? We started talking about this in our last gathering. We identified the three areas of practical, relational, and spiritual. And today we're going to take a deeper dive into the practical. So for many people, this is what comes to mind when they think of leaving a legacy. What do I want to happen with what I own, especially what I or others might think of as valuable? Think of everything that fits into that category for you. So here are some things that came to mind pretty quickly for me when I posed that question to myself. Ownership of real estate, including our home, because we're lucky enough to own it along with the bank. What's inside of where we live? Our furniture, appliances, clothing, fixtures, artwork, entertainment, what we use to entertain ourselves, what we use to study, what we use for our hobbies, so books, magazines, newspapers, and anything we use to consume them, like e-readers or listening devices, musical instruments, art and craft materials, games, puzzles, computers, tablets, phones, televisions, radios, food and drink, and what we use to prepare and consume them. So plates, pots and pans, silverware. Some of this may be very ordinary, but some of it may be heirloom. Everything we have stored for future use, like food, like toilet paper, like all of those things that when COVID started, we tended to hoard because we were so afraid. What's outside where we live? So patio furniture, cars, boats, bicycles, garden tools, workshop tools, camping equipment. What used to be inside but now can be anywhere, like telephones. What we use to buy what we need or don't need and make ourselves feel safe in terms of the future. So cash, stocks, bonds, other types of investments. And I'm sure that each of us could go on and on. But if we want to be intentional about this aspect of our legacy, the questions that we need to ponder are, what do I own? What do I want to happen to it? And how do I make that happen? And you'll have time to talk about all of this in your breakout groups. Georgiana will be putting these questions in the chat, so you'll have them in the breakout rooms. I'd also like to touch on two other topics that fall under the rubric of practical. The first is that once we're dead, there is obviously a corpse that needs to be dealt with. So, do you have plans for the disposition of your bodily remains? In our culture, this doesn't happen, often because it can be considered morbid or ghoulish. But it needs to be addressed by someone, and if we don't, it will be left to those who come after. This slide shows only two possibilities, burial or cremation. With burial, there are now options that may be more environmentally friendly that come under the category of green burial. And there's now another option for cremation that involves water rather than the traditional fire and is also more environmentally friendly. But there are other options depending on where you live. For example, I have completed the process to have these bodily remains composted. In other areas, there can be something called a sky burial, which involves dismemberment of the remains and offering them to the sky, usually on a mountaintop. And those who take advantage of that usually tend to be vultures. And finally, there's the question of how we want to be remembered. This slide shows some possibilities for having some say in how we're remembered once we die, including writing legacy letters or ethical wills, designing and possibly even attending our own memorial service, and writing our own obituary or leaving directions for what we want included, and perhaps more importantly, what we don't. I'm sure you can come up with other ideas as well. So now you're going to go into your breakout groups again for 20 minutes to talk about what you already have in place regarding what happens to your worldly belongings, your bodily remains, and or how you want to go about being remembered, and what you'd like to do about all of that, or what you have left to do. And Georgiana has put those 3 questions from that earlier slide into the chat. I know 20 minutes isn't a very long time, probably just enough time for each of you to talk only a bit about this. Please keep in mind this could be only the beginning of a larger conversation you have with your family, your friends, your loved ones. So, if there are no questions about this, Diane will open the breakout rooms. I think everyone is back. So, as we end our session today, oh, okay, let me see, Alpesh. Ah, okay.
Sorry, I wanted to send this just to my breakout room, but it went to everybody. Sorry about that.
It didn't actually. I think it did just go to you. If you sent it during your breakout, yeah. Okay, so no
Thank you.
worries. Okay, so as we end, let's go over next month's practice and the reading. So for May, for our gathering, intensify life review practice. And if you're not familiar with life review, or you want to learn more about it, you can read chapter 16 in A Year to Live, even though that's actually going to be for June. And or check out exercise 2 in the book From Aging to Saging by Reb Salman. Increase casual as well as formal reflection on the events and people of the past, and that might very well be part of your life review. Practice daily forgiveness and gratitude meditations in relationship to both pleasant and unpleasant memories. And you can check out chapters 17 and 18. Again, they're not in the reading for May, but they will be for June. Listen to your life song among the insights that hum through the mind. And if you want to learn more about what Stephen Levine is referring to when he talks about your life song, please see chapter 37 in A Year to Live. Increase the time you spend in meditation to an hour a day, if possible, if you don't already meditate for an hour each day. And finally, the big one, make peace with your life. And the life review process is really a very helpful way to go about that. So our next meeting is May 15th, third Wednesday of the month, and the reading is chapters 13, 14, and 15. So if there are no final questions,
Ruby,
Cindy.
I just wanted to, oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to make comment. I think I'm currently reading a book called Die with Zeros, and it's a very good book to accompany this programs. If people, it's interesting to read about it. You can borrow it from the library. They also have audios. The audio is only 2
Cindy, can you
hours
say
and
that
30
name
minutes.
again? Can you say the name?
Die with Zero.
E-R-O?
Yeah, Zero. So it's a very interesting books. And if you're interested, go to the library or the books. And they also have audio. They also have the Kindles. And so I actually listened through it on the airplane. And so, it's a very interesting concept about, they say sometimes we just leave too many things to our offspring sometimes, or to other people. So, and I have spoken.
And we have heard. Thank you, Cindy. I think, Becky, you had a comment?
I did, thank you. I heard this morning today is National Haiku Day. So we should all write a haiku. So I scribbled one out real quickly I want to share with you. Aging is a gift. tomorrow may never be. Embrace this day now.
Beautiful. Oh, thank
Sharing.
you. Thank you for that gift.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Bridget, you had your hand up?
I did. I kept putting it up and down. I wasn't sure there was time. I was just going to say, not everybody may have noticed the little link in the last email with the letter from you, Ruby, that asked for suggestions about resources. But I think you were asking for people to send those in. I have a few that I plan to send to you, so others might as well.
Yes.
If they
And
can see
actually, let me put my email address in the chat again, because I am compiling a resource list. And I will appreciate all suggestions. And I noticed that Gretchen, you suggested Swedish death cleaning, and I'm actually going to, I have a link to an article on Swedish death cleaning that I'm going to be including in the resource list. So thank you. And yeah, I'm going to start sending out, I think, the resource list so you can see what's on it. And if you have additions, if thoughts come, I will definitely appreciate hearing about it. And yeah, Diane, thank you. Diane gave us in the chat, you can see the author and the full title of the book that Cindy mentioned. Okay. Well, thank you all. Susan, you're muted.
There's a company called Caring Transitions. They'll come in, get rid of all your stuff, you pay, but let me tell you, it is a blessing if somebody has a lot of stuff you don't want.
Yeah. Could you send me that in an email and I'll include it? Thank you. And Becky, if you're willing, could you send me the haiku and then I can share it? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all. What a beautiful and rich session. I so appreciate each and every one of you and your participation. And we'll end with the blowing out of the candle and with the extinguishing of this candle. May the wisdom it represents in each of us and in all of us move out and spread into a world that so sorely needs the wisdom of elders.
Amen.
Thank you all. Enjoy the spring. It could be your last.
Oh no.
Bye-bye.